Hello, everybody. All right, so happy Thursday, everybody. As I welcome you to the Mikestand. Um, if, of course, you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions, and I'll do the best I can to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that, of course, I'm gonna put some music on for a few minutes while I take care of some things as we wait to give people a chance to come in. Um, so I will be right back. All right, so we're gonna, as I said, just give people a couple more minutes to try to come on here. Let's take care of something real quick, and then I'll. Okay, now, so anyways, let's check one more thing here. All right. Well, we're coming up on 3.5 minutes here, so I guess it's a good time to talk about what's on tap. So tonight, of course, we're going to go over the Indie Comic Showcase from Bleeding Fool. Time permitting, of course, I may go over to Bounding into Comics, add a few, article or two, depending upon how far along we get through the content tonight. Also, of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap up and then the This Day in Each History. So, with that, why don't we go ahead and get started then? All right, so here's the Indie Comic Showcase number 234. Lone Star, Rogue, and the Record of the Paladins, article by Chris Braley, published August 9th, which was yesterday. So, welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers, or of course, you can catch my coverage of the article on Wednesday or Thursday of each week, whenever I decide to do it. So, hoping to further get the word out. Let's see. All right. So, all right. So, on Indie Comics Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comics Showcase. Let's jump in. Lone Star, Mind of the Monster by Mike S. Miller. Wow, very interesting look there. Chris, welcome back to Indie Comic Showcase. Mike, catch us up on Lone Star, Mind of the Monster. Mike S. Miller. Lone Star was a Golden Age hero from World War II who saved the world from the Nazi Ubermensch. For those of you who don't know what the term Ubermensch means, it basically means it translates as overman. In other words, it was the German word for like the superior man, their version of Superman, basically. The Iron Cross. His tale was mythologized in the press and forgotten by history. In reality, lone unknown soldiers have fought a secret war against the dark creatures and forces that lurk beneath the safety and awareness of the modern world. The Dirty Dozen meet Supernatural at as the war with dark forces continues in the pages of Lone Star, Mind of the Monster. The Dirty Dozen, by the way, was a film back in the 1970s that, of course, starred um, like Marvin. I can't remember the guy's last name. I know his first name is Marvin, I think, or Lee Marvin. I might have been Lee Marvin. I'm thinking of. Dustin Hoffman was also in that movie, just so you guys know. The page is Lone Star, Mind of the Monster, the third installment and conclusion to the first story arc of the Lone Star Heart, Soul, and Mind saga. 48 pages, full color. Chris, let's go back to the genesis of the character. Tell me how this started. Mike, I wanted to do a patriotic superhero in the spirit of Captain America, but less grandiose. More street level. I also had an idea for a vampire trilogy about a group of vampire hunters who inadvertently set off the vampire apocalypse. I also had an idea about a G.I. Joe style team called the Unknown Soldiers. Interesting combination of influences there. So I cannibalized all three and merged them into one expansive, well rounded story that brought decades of ideas into a single timeline. Lone Star was the result. I had always intended to self publish Lone Star. It was seeing Alt Hero do so well in crowdfunding that I finally put pencil to paper and start drawing it. So Alt Hero, for those of you who may not know, is a feature that's run on. Trying to think of it as I hadn't heard it. It's a web comic series. I know that was featured on Bounding into Comics. Some of the articles they did there. Can't even think of the site now, but it's a web comic series. I just go to show you, out of sight, out of mind, as it were. Chris, what kind of comic readers is what kind of comic reader is going to enjoy this the most? Mike, Lone Star is suited for fans of 80s style comics. I don't do a lot of flash and pointless splash pages. The story is what is important. The art is there to serve the story, not the other way around. It's reader friendly for tweens and above. Um, I'd say there is some gruesome imagery here and there, but there's no swearing, no sexual content. There is drama, conflict, action, romance, murder, revenge, humor. I think it's well rounded in many respects and plays to many different audiences. It's a superhero story about a guy who doesn't think he's a hero at all. A very interesting take. Anybody that we might have. Um, of course, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, as we continue on with the article here, some of the art here is pretty interesting. Wow, don't think I want to see that guy in a dark alley right there. uh, Now, granted, even though he says there's no sexual content in this, we also have to remember is that um, the act of vampirism, right? The idea of the vampire biting into your neck is, in some vampire lore, considered a sexual act, because what you're basically doing is the vampire is infusing his blood into yours to, at the very least, gain control of you, if not, basically turn you completely over to being a vampire. So, okay, so Chris, you've worked at Malibu, Marvel, Image, and many people are familiar with your Injustice work at DC Comics. Tell me about how you developed your artistic style. Mike. My first comic influences were John Byrne and Paul Smith. I grew up in the 80s, and it was those comics that spoke to me the most. I think a lot of what I loved about comics in the 80s was forgotten in the 90s as flash and style and big pointless double page spreads overtook the market and sort of ruined the art form in a lot of ways. So my storytelling is very much rooted in that 80s comic experience when the story was what mattered and the art was there to bring the story to life and move the reader. Drawing style wise, I moved on from Byrne and Smith, had many influences over the decades, but find myself inspired more than influenced now by the likes of Carlos Pacheco, rest in peace, and Alan Davis. I love detail, but not at the expense of clarity. I love style, but not at the expense of storytelling. Comic books are first and foremost a storytelling medium. I try to remember that always. Yeah, with that mask and stuff, that is a very World War II esque feel to it right there. That uniform right there. Not final colors. And I thank you for the like and the share. I do appreciate that. Hopefully, we can get some more friendly people in here. Anyways, Chris, I understand you're pretty much a OMB on these books. Um, who else is on your creative team? I'm the creator, I'm the writer, I'm the artist. Roland Mand has been my editor for the series, and I've gone through a number of colorists but ultimately ended up coloring most of Mind of the Monster on my own. With the so he's a one man shop there basically. Uh, with the help of a couple of people doing flats for me, thanks Amy. My letterer on the first two issues, Bill Tortellini, unfortunately passed away, so I'll be lettering issue 3 on my own. I find lettering your own book to be a useful endeavor, as seeing the script on the page in process sometimes leads to edits you didn't expect as you were initially writing the story. And going back and forth with a letterer to do changes takes longer than just changing it yourself. That is true. Well, that goes to say with any work, anytime you work with other people, it can take longer, in some respect, depending upon the situation. When you talk about editing and stuff like that, it does take longer because, you know, if you catch something that they didn't, and then you have to go back and do that, whether but they send you the what they feel is the finished material. Then you see the errors, and then you send it back to them. Hey, can you fix this? So it kind of goes. There's some point to that statement, I guess. As we continue on here, Chris, that's a lot of work. What's your production workflow like? Mike, um, when I work. I hate ever leaving a page unfinished on the drawing board, so I'll tend to focus until it's done. As of me writing this, all the pencils and inks are done. Um, there are 5 or 6 pages left to color. Um, Left to color. Then I'll be lettering, sending to my editor for a final review, and then it's off to the printers. This is a pretty bare bones crowdfund on Fund My Comic. I've already successfully funded it on Indiegogo, but I shut down the campaign long ago. Now that the book is all but complete, I want to make it available one last time before we go to print for anyone who missed out on the opportunity before now. Chris, this isn't your first rodeo in the crowdfunding realm. What have you been learning from the process? Mike, that it doesn't matter how good your book is, if you don't have the means to market it properly, it will not be a success. Marketing unfortunately wins out over talent, skill, and quality of product. It's a sad reality, but one every business has to deal with. But be that as it may, I will continue to produce the best quality product. My 31 years of experience. So 31 years, so that means he's been doing this since 1992, basically, as a professional comic book artist and creator will allow me, and hope that I can get it in front of as many eyeballs as possible who might like to support that effort. Chris, are there more Lone Star stories to tell? More original tales you want to explore? Mike, I have entirely too many stories to tell. Whether that leads me to another comic book project or animation, or who knows what else. God only knows. But yes, I have so many intellectual properties waiting to be told, and the second and third trilogies of Lone Star, along with the rest of the Blacklist universe. Um, Hopefully, I'll be able to do them all. Sounds good, Mike. Anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Mike, I would appreciate if they would check out the book and if they like what they see, to spread the word to others they know who might be interested in a solid tale in the vein of classic 80s storytelling. I can't do this without the fans, and word of mouth is the most powerful marketing on earth. All right, so there we go with that one. Let's get ready to do the next one from there. And as always, if anything catches your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that, let's move on to the next portion of this article. Record of the Paladins by Brian McCoppin. The Record of the Paladins, Book of Oliver. Chris, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Brian. Tell me about your book, Record of the Paladins. Brian McCoppin. Sure. The Paladins are individuals blessed by God with a special skill that aids them as they wage war against Satan's hordes. The story centers on Oliver, born with uh, predicative sight, tell two stories in parallel. Um, I think that's supposed to be one, not on. Okay, typo there. On, but it should be one, I'm guessing. One story follows his youth with his mentor, Jaren, as he travels and trains in the multitude or martial and combative in a multitude multitude of, not or, of martial and combative arts. Man, some typos going on in this one, huh? The other is when he is a grown man and discovers the paladins and joins them on their quest to vanquish demons. Let's see, Chris, how do you come up with and craft this story? Brian, the comic is an adaptation of the best-selling novel Record of the Paladins, Book of Oliver. Each issue will cover 2 to 4 chapters of the book. The Record of the Paladins is a 12-book series with book 2 releasing this year. I hope to run a comic in conjunction with the novel releases and expand the total audience. This is my first comic attempt. I've been writing and publishing in a multitude of genres for years. Record of the Paladins is my passion project and my most well-received work. One guy there looks kind of like a crusader from those times, from the medieval history. Oh, hold on. I goofed. Sorry about that, folks. I just kind of goofed there. I can remedy that in a moment here. Accidentally closed this out. Wasn't really intending to do so, but down to where we were. That's where we were right there. Alright, so anyways. Sorry about that. I accidentally closed it out. Not in, hit the wrong button basically. Not with that. There we go. Oh, I see a comment. Hey, Timothy. And of course, for those of you happen to see this. This is, of course, um, Timothy's project, Melvin. You know, if you guys want to go check that out, there's the link. Um, he's a pretty cool guy, so I would definitely check it out if you have the chance, if that's your thing. Um, with that, let's get ready to move on here. Let's see. Chris, what kind of readers is it aimed at? Um, Brian, the ideal read is on looking for quote unquote muscular Christianity. These are warriors who are blessed and serve God as they battle the forces of evil. Basically the idea of people like Samson, basically, or David, right? This is also the coming of age story for Oliver, with a touching father-son relationship, examples of strong family values. Suitable for ages 13 and up, as the demons will at times speak in vile ways, and some adult themes are discussed. Chris, who's helping you on this project, and how is it coming along? Brian, the team is pretty small. Myself and the illustrator Kevin John Jacobs. This allows us to stay relatively inexpensive, if not a little slow in our production. The story is 100% done, and several partial strips are completed. We can have the first issue ready roughly a month after Fun Day. So that's pretty good, I would say. Chris, what lessons have you been learning through this process? Brian, hiring creatives to help expand your work can be a challenge and a risk. We may spend thousands of dollars on a product that no one likes. Having the story already be recognized and loved helps this process. All right. So, Chris, what's next after this project? Brian, 11 more books, each with roughly 12 comics each. Once all of book one is in comic form, we aim to release a collected version in hardcover. Um, we hope to repeat this cycle for all 12 books. If readers do not want to purchase the comic, we are also selling unique and beautiful t shirts, cups, and other fun bonuses to help get our product to completion. Hmm. Well, this guy's got quite an ambitious goal here, doesn't he? Brian's got quite an ambitious goal here. You know, 12 comics for 12 bucks. And for each of the 12 books. So that's quite a quite a task, it sounds like. That's great. Anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Chris asked, Brian, we are grateful for our wonderful fans and hope they. Uh, oh wait, no. We're grateful for our wonderful fans and the joy they bring to our lives with each reading of our tale. All right, so there we go. Now the final story they're covering this week. Final comic they're covering this week. Let's see what they got here. Rogue: The American Dream by David Tomasi. All right. Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, David. Let's start things off with your elevator pitch for Rogue: The American Dream. David Tomasi. America has fallen after the Second Civil War. A new regime has seized power, the New American Order, NAO, with a new war hanging in the balance. Rogue is America's only savior, but does she even care? This comic is 120 pages and is black and white. So another female hero named Rogue. Okay. Of course, we know the X-Men member Rogue, the mutant Rogue, is obviously a different person. Obviously. Wow. That's somebody who's going to get your attention. Ah, Chris, cool. Where did the idea for this comic come from and made you decide to take the self publishing path? David, my comic is highly inspired by Escape from New York, Escape from New York, LA, and Mad Max. Um, Doing a comic has always been a childhood dream of mine, and seeing all the new creators on crowdfunding, I decided to finally do it. Hmm. Yeah, um, yeah, David here seems to be going the route that the Canadians did back in their golden age. Colored covers with black and white interiors. And I guess his artist name is Kitty Kiss. How apropos for this book. What kind of readers is this book aimed at? Um, Chris asked. David, definitely 18 and older, and anyone who grew up loving 90s style action with cheesy one-liners. I grew up I grew up and loving comics in the 80s all the way to 2000. I took everything that impacted my life and put it in this book. Chris, what have you been learning from crowdfunding and creating through this project? David, I've learned a lot in this process, and and thankfully, I found a great community of creators who have been helpful and given insider tips. Insider tips. This young lady is definitely somebody who could grab people's attentions. Ah, Chris, any plans beyond this book? Are there more stories to tell? David, yes. If I make back money from my comic, I've paid everyone in full out of my own pocket. So these funds will cover printing and shipping, and hopefully help start on book two. Rogue, nowhere to hide. And Chris said, "We're rooting for you, David." All right, so that's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly comic column, click here, follow Indie Comics Showcase at Twitter at Indie Comics, and reach out to them for more eyes crowdfunding on your crowdfunding comic project. Till next time, support Indie Comics. All right, so that's some interesting stuff there. That one rogue in particular is quite an eye catch for a lot of us, I'd say. So 35 minutes. So yeah, we're gonna see what we can find on bounding into We might do at least one more article here because I think we do have a little spare time here. I said where. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. It's fantastic. Made of plastic. You can cut my hair. Take me anywhere. Let's see. Yeah, that was the last one we did. We're gonna do look over this one here. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so Netflix's Castlevania Nocturne, supervising background designer Steve Stark stands by Annette's race swapping. Let's see. So Netflix's Castlevania Nocturne, supervising background designer Steve Stark stands by Annette's race swapping. Quote, go complain about something that matters, unquote. Um, Article by Nerdigans Inc. Um, so for dated August 3rd, 2023, anime video games. All right, so in a move so common that it's almost become cliche, Netflix's Castlevania Nocturne, supervising background designer Steve Stark, has dismissed criticism of Annette's race swapping by encouraging fans unhappy with the change to refrain from tuning in. And they might just do that, dude. The last time people were saying, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book, people actually did. And guess what? People who initially said that lost money. A spin off of Power Animation Studios' core Castlevania animated series, produced by the studio themselves, Nocturne is set to bring the events of the 1993 video game Castlevania Rondo of Blood to the small screen. Set amidst the 18th century French Revolution, the original game followed Richter Belmont, the direct descendant of the original Castlevania protagonist Simon Belmont, as he attempted to live up to his lineage by both rescuing his girlfriend Annette from Dracula's clutches and putting the monster back in his grave. Notably, in the original game, Annette is portrayed as a young white woman, typical of the game's Transylvania setting. Again, Western European, yeah, I mean, again, is this going to be another case where they decided to race swap just just so just to try to make a point, even if it doesn't make any sense? Annette would also keep this appearance, sans purple hair, in the game's 2007 remake for the PlayStation Portable, Castlevania the Dracula X Chronicles. However, it appears this will not be the cause concerning her. I think they meant to say case, not cause. Will not be the case concerning her upcoming appearance in Nocturne. As revealed in its latest trailer, not only will the series feature the franchise's first black vampires, but it will also race swap Annette. Only problem is there weren't a lot of black people in in Western Europe around that time, and for those who were, they were slaves probably. Further, her race is not the only thing receiving a shakeup. According to Netflix, the former damsel in distress will now be portrayed as a sorceress, quote, who used her power and wits to escape vampire-enforced enslavement in the Caribbean, and now wields magic to stop the impending apocalyptic threat. In response to the public debut of this new incarnation of Annette, Stark took to Twitter to voice his pride in the production's blackwashing of the classic character. Retweeting a fan who was excited for the change, the supervising background designer declared, quote, making Castlevania Nocturne was worth it for a vast number of reasons, but seeing so many people react to stuff like this is one of the best. But of course, comics did already have black vampires and black. This isn't something like totally new, okay? And again, think about Blade, right? Marvel's Blade, you know. So again, the idea, what a lot of these people don't understand is, people you wouldn't be getting the backlash, you wouldn't be getting the you wouldn't be getting the backlash or the complaints if you did it with if you just created an original character. But you take already established characters, characters that do have fan bases, and you're sticking your middle finger up at the fan base, just to push an agenda. And that's the kind of thing that will get a lot of people upset. You know, so that's the thing. That's the thing about that. And that's the thing that will lose your money faster than you can say Mississippi. Let's see. In response to this tweet, I, the author of this article, took to my personal Twitter account to push back against Stark's portrayal of the situation, asking, quote, Sir, have you not seen the amount of Castlevania fans furious with Annette being race swapped? Unquote. Quote, original characters are great, but the race swapping, in brackets, of pre-established characters needs to stop. Unquote, I added. Again, and that's the thing. Now, I've pointed this out before. The reason that they do that, the reason that they use legacy characters or pre-established characters rather than just creating their own, because it's all about pushing the message. Okay? It's all about pushing the message. If you can tag on to somebody who's already known, already well known and well liked, and you and you get them to say, "Oh, this is cool, this is rad," then that's gonna make it more acceptable. Doing a new character or creating a new character is just too risky for them. They really want to push it. That's the thing I was saying about when they were making like Jonathan Kent and Tim Drake, gay, right? Is that if in those cases if you can get Superman and Robin to say, hey, being gay is great, then it makes it more acceptable, In turn, Stark derisively wrote us off, stating, quote, I've literally seen like a handful of people angry about it. Go complain about something that matters, unquote. Continuing the exchange, I then proceeded to simply inquire, quote, why can't you respect the source material, unquote. Quote, don't watch the show then, unquote, Stark countered back. Quote, I genuinely don't care if a very small handful of people are angry we made a character black, unquote. Obviously, you don't care. But if you don't make it, if you don't make your money back from the production, you'll care. You'll definitely care if you know just ask uh, just ask Kelly Sue DeConnick what happens when you take that attitude, dude. Per the series' official synopsis, quote, Castlevania Nocturne locates its adventures in a thrilling setting, the atmospheric backdrop of the French Revolution, as the peasant class rises up against the aristocracy. An even darker threat emerges: a cabal of powerful vampires intent on taking over the world and blotting out the sun forever. Unquote. Quote, Castlevania Nocturne delivers elegant animation and surprises as our heroes battle vicious monsters while also facing down their own inner demons. The official synopsis concludes, quote, by the time rumors spread of a quote unquote vampire messiah who must be stopped at all costs, the stakes in the Castlevania universe have never been higher. Yeah, raised higher to stake the vampires to the heart, right? At current, the series is scheduled to premiere on Netflix on September 28th, which I believe will be a Thursday. All right, so we're at the 47-minute mark now, so I think that's enough of the articles for now. Now we'll get to the wrestling wrap up real quick here. Just heading around heading of course around the so not much is going on in WWE news, of course. Um, you know, with Roman Reigns taking some time off, they're going to be pushing um, a Jay versus Jimmy feud on SmackDown. LA Knight has been getting a bit more of a push of late, um, so they're looking at that. So that's all the WWE news of it. Now, last night's Dynamite had some interesting things happen. Um, Aside from the matches themselves, of course. In the opening match, Young Bucks defeated the Hardys in 11:15, and after the match, of course, Matt and Nick Jackson and Jeff and Matt Hardy, sat there and shook hands, and just after that, the Young Bucks, decided to answer the challenge of FTR, and as announced, FTR will be defending the AEW World Tag Team titles against the Young Bucks, as these two teams, of course, have had a team dating back to the very early days of AEW. The wars between the Elite and the Pinnacle. Jack Perry retained the FTW title over Rob Van Dam. Now, here's the thing, and I did watch a portion of the match. Let me just tell you guys something. At 52, Rob Van Dam still looks very good. He still looks like he could go. He just came up short, and I don't know if they are gonna eventually put the FTW title on him or not. But it's gonna be interesting to see where they go with Jack Perry's FTW title. If you're gonna start seeing a bunch of former ECW guys come back in to try to take the title off of him. The Blackpool Combat Club's Claudio Castagnoli and John Moxley defeated the Lucha Brothers. And in the main event, Hikaru Shida retained the world title over Anna Jay. Anna Jay. Now I know a lot of you are still being very critical of Anna Jay, but she looked pretty good. She probably does need to get some more seasoning in the ring in order to in order to in order to um, in order to really improve. But she still looked pretty good. Um, with that, let me just go over some stuff real quick for this upcoming weekend on AEW. Won't be back with the news until Monday. So, but on tomorrow night's Rampage, um, let's see, Brian Cage will be taking on Darby Allin. Orange Cassidy will be defending the AEW International title against Johnny TV, aka John Morrison of QTV. Um, Aussie Open will be taking on the Outrunners in a non-title tag. Now, one of the other things that happened too last night's Dynamite, of course, is that Adam Cole and MJF issued a challenge to Aussie Open for the Ring of Honor tag team titles, as that was the only Ring of Honor title that apparently that Cole could have. He's been a TV champion. He's been a world champion for Ring of Honor. Now he wants to be a tag team champion. Set the challenge for the countdown, or 0 hour prior to their event in London. And Saraya is set to take on Sky Blue. Now that's all for tomorrow night. And then coming from Greensboro, North Carolina on Saturday, AEW will have its Collision show. House of Black will be defending the World Trios title against CMFTR, basically CM Punk and FTR. The Acclaimed will be in action, and Diamante and Mercedes Martinez take on TBS champion Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. As of course AEW continues to build towards All In about a couple weeks from this Sunday. Now, also, Impact's on tonight as they continue to, 1 week away from the Multiverse of Honor, and then 2 weeks away from Emergence. On tonight's episode of Impact, in another first round match, I think the only other first round match of the number one contendership tournament, you have former champs ABC for the Impact World Tag Team titles. Former champs ABC will be taking on Rich Swann and Sami Callihan. Dirty Dango with Alpha Bravo will be taking on Bhupinder Gujjar. Jody Threat, having enough of Alicia's shenanigans, will be taking her on. Kushida takes on Mike Bailey in what should promise to be a very active X Division match. And then Brian Myers, Bully Ray, and Moose, with Leo Rush in their corner, will be taking on Black Taurus, Laredo Kid, and Samurai Del Sol. So that's all going on. So with that, guys, I thank you all for. Well, okay. So we're done with the wrestling wrap up. So now it's time to take a look back at this day in each history. 1953, 1998, and 2003. All right. So with that now, today being Thursday, August the 10th, 2023, let's take a look back at this day in each history. Now, first off, we head back to 1953, on this date 70 years ago today, in 1953, the 150th and final issue of Captain Marvel Adventures went on sale on newsstands on this date back in 1953. This was the 150th and final issue of Captain Marvel, just before Fawcett, of course, shut down, went bankrupt. Among the stories include Captain Marvel's wedding, the world of too many savannas, and then Captain Kidd feature the escaped lunatic. So on this day, 70 years ago today, the 150th and final issue of Captain Marvel Adventures from Fawcett Comics went on sale on this date back 70 years ago today. So with that, as we move ahead to 1998, on this date in 1998, WCW held its Monday Nitro event from Rapid City, South Carolina, the Rushmore Plaza Civic Center, which was the night after Road Wild. So this was the follow-up to Road Wild. The main event saw Bill Goldberg defeat Meng, WCW World Champion, seeing Kevin Nash defeat the Giant and Scott Hall via disqualification. Juventud Guerrera retained the Cruiserweight Championship over Kidman. Lex Luger defeated WCW United States Champion Bret Hart via submission to win the title with the torture rack, with Kevin Nash, Sting, and Conan coming out to celebrate. Chris Jericho, subbing for Chavo Guerrero Jr., defeated Stevie Ray, I believe, to become the champion. Yeah, so let's see. Among other things, of course. Okay, so those are some of the bigger matches of the night. So that happened 25 years ago today. And finally, moving on to the final thing of the. So on this date in 2003, 20 years ago today, Futurama is abruptly canceled after 4 seasons on Fox. Now, it would develop such an underground cult following that it would later be revived on Comedy Central in 2010. But on this date, 10 years ago today, Futurama was abruptly canceled after 4 seasons on Fox. So there you go with all that. I thank everybody for being here tonight. And don't forget, tomorrow night, of course, I'll have Metal with me, as we will be Metal from the Vomitorium will be my co-host, as we will be looking back to November 1939. We'll be looking at a comic that went on sale in November 1939 with Lev Gleason, Silver Streak, Volume 1, Issue 2. Among the features we'll probably be reading from include The Claw, The Wasp, Mr. Midnight, a few others, and we'll only be, of course, focusing on one book. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye.